You can feel a team's culture long before you can describe it. You feel it in how people speak to each other. You feel it in how they handle pressure. You feel it in how they treat the people the team touches. Culture is the lived experience of the team, and it's happening whether we name it or not. Hey leaders, I'm Jeff, founder of CoreC Leadership and your guide on this identity first, truly inside out leadership journey. I help leaders grow with more purpose, more steadiness, and hopefully a little less strain. If leadership has ever felt heavier than it should, you're not alone. If you've ever felt like your organization could increase its impact through your growth as a leader, you're in good company here. So let's jump into today's topic. Every team has a moment or moments when culture becomes visible. It might be a tense meeting. It might be a conflict that surfaces. It might be how someone responds to a mistake. It might be how a volunteer, congregant, customer, or partner is treated. Culture shows up most clearly when the pressure rises, because that's when the real norms emerge. I've been in rooms where the culture lifted people and rooms where it drained them. And the difference wasn't talent or strategy. It was how people treated each other, especially when things got hard. Culture is how we do the work together. It's the shared behaviors, the shared norms, the relational commitments that shape the team's lived experience, both internally and externally. And here's the simplest way to understand it. Culture is character at the team level. Character is where personal values show up in behavior. Culture is where team values show up in shared behavior. Culture is not what we say we value. Culture is what we actually do. Said more clearly, culture is how we do it. Now, culture is not perks, posters, slogans, aspirational values, the leader's personality, or the vibe on a good day. Culture is the lived reality, especially under pressure. There are 4 layers that help us see culture clearly and shape it intentionally. Number 1 is behavioral norms, what we consistently do and don't do. These are the patterns of behavior that show up day after day. They reveal what is truly normal and accepted on the team. Number 2 is relational patterns, how we treat each other and our stakeholders. This includes how we communicate, how we handle conflict, and how we support one another, and how we show up for the people our team touches. Culture is not an internal bubble. It's a 360-degree relational ecosystem, much like how we defined caring. Number 3, decision-making patterns, how choices get made and communicated. Every team has a way decisions happen, quickly or slowly, collaboratively or top-down, transparently or more opaque. These patterns shape trust, alignment, and momentum. And number 4, reinforcement systems. What gets rewarded, corrected, or ignored. Whatever gets rewarded becomes culture. Whatever gets ignored becomes culture too. This is where culture becomes real, in what we celebrate, what we correct, and what we tolerate as a leader and as a team. I've seen teams where people exhale when they walk into the room, and teams where people brace themselves. Emotional temperature tells the truth about the culture. A few years ago, I worked for a very large enterprise. There was a CEO transition, and the new CEO introduced 3 simple behaviors when he took over: open and candid, debate, decide, commit, and enterprise mindset. My first reaction was, is that all you got? But over time, those 3 behaviors became profound. They created clarity around how we communicated, how we made decisions, how we handled disagreement, how we thought about the entire organization, how we showed up for each other. They weren't slogans, they were expectations. They were the underpinnings of culture. Simple, memorable, and lived. People began to say things like, oh, we need to DDC that one. DDC meaning decide, debate, commit. It became shorthand for how we made decisions. For me, it was a great reminder. Culture may be shaped by what you believe, but it becomes real based on what you practice. Just like the strategy on a page or SOAP gives us a one-page expression of what we do, the team commitment is a way to give us a one-page expression of how we do it. I've heard some refer to the team commitment as a culture manifesto for the Jerry Maguire fans out there. So when I joined a new organization and had the opportunity to hire my own team, I drafted my own version of a team commitment. Not to impose my way, but to communicate my expectations in my own words. But then I brought it to the team, and together we refined it into a co-created document. And when we were done, I asked everyone to sign it, including myself. Not as a contract, but as a visible expression of buy-in or belief. A way of saying, this is who we are. This is how we treat each other. And this is how we'll show up for the people our team touches. The team commitment becomes the relational covenant, the behavioral standard, frankly, the accountability tool, and part of the onboarding guide. It is the culture equivalent of the strategy on a page. Now, leaders shape culture through presence, not pressure. Leaders model the culture they want and expect. They reinforce the culture they tolerate. They carry culture into every room they enter. Leaders set the emotional temperature. And leaders make the invisible visible. But here's the truth. Culture is not just the leader's job, but it always starts with the leader's example. The leader's behavior certainly have to align with and reinforce the desired shared behaviors. But the entire team is accountable for culture. Now, while clarity gives us a shared understanding of what we do and why we do it, culture gives us that shared understanding or shared commitment for how we do it. And together they create the conditions for coalescence, the unity, momentum, and shared energy that emerges when we get it all right. Here's a simple reflection for you to consider today. How does my team feel the night before a new week begins? What behaviors do I model without realizing it? What behaviors do I reward? What norms have I allowed to form unintentionally? What relational commitments do we need to name or rename? What am I tolerating that I need to correct? That last question is one of the most important a leader can ask, because culture is shaped not only by what we reinforce, but also by what we allow or ignore. And again, culture grows through small, steady relational steps. You don't need to be a charismatic leader to shape culture. You just need to be a consistent, connected one. Culture is built through presence, not perfection. And every step you take towards healthier culture strengthens everyone your leadership touches. If you have some work left to do here, remember, you're not behind, you're still becoming. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, as always, listen deeply, walk faithfully, and bring others with you.